Okay, gewaltig. Oh, I gotta get my pointer. I gotta get my pointer. Okay. So yesterday, or Erev Shabbos, we learned a halacha that was getting challenged. And that was because it says chet mobes, in chet mobes. It says that in the parsha. It says that in the parsha of Naira Hamurasa, we learn from there that any chayve krisos and chayve mises bezdin, it's nitan latila benavsha. The problem with that is we had a brisa that's quoted, or a mission that's quoted at the bottom of Daf Ayin Gimel Amud Beis that says the elu nairos sheyesh lohem knas, and one of them is abol achoisai. Now the problem is abol achoisai is a chayve krisos, which means, based on what the Gemara is saying, is while somebody is in the act of pursuing a choisai to do a chet with her, his life is free. You're allowed to kill him. So if that's the case, how could he be mechuyev to pay a knas? It's kamei b'derabimine. While he's violating her, he's also becoming mechuyev with a knas. And once again, we say that when there's a chiyuv misa upon him, there's no chiyuv mama. So on Friday, we actually learned 3 terutzim that the Gemara offered. One teretz is that in the course of the bia, the chiyuv misa comes before the chiyuv mammon comes, so that in fact don't occur at the same time. The second answer the Gemara gave is this is a woman who there is no chiyuv misa. It's not nitin latzilai b'nafshay because she had already been violated prior to this chait. And the third teretz was that it's going according to Rabbi Yehuda and speaking where she, the victim, is saying don't kill him, and there you're not allowed to kill him. So therefore, these are all examples of someone being bala choisoi where there would not be a chiyuv misa involved, and therefore he would be mechuyev the knas. And now we're going to learn a couple of more terutzim to the same question. So Rav Papa Amar b'mafuta v'divrei koil. You know what the case was? It's not a case where he's being ma'anas his sister. It's a case where she was seduced. So she is going into this willingly. And when she is a mafusta, there is no chiyuv to kill him. There's only a chiyuv to kill him if she's makpedes. She's not makpedes. She's a willing participant over here. Therefore, there would be no chiyuv misa on him, according to everybody, not only according to Rabbi Yehuda, but Divrei Koil, and therefore he would be chayav knas. Abaya Omer, he has another option. B'yochal lahatzel bechad me'evor. When are you allowed to kill somebody to prevent him from doing this chait? That's if the only way you could prevent him from doing this chait is by killing him. But what if you could taser him? What if you could stop him from doing the chait without killing him? There, it's a iser, a deraisa, it's a iser, it's considered ritzich if you kill him. So in fact, since it's yochal latzilai be'echad me'evarov, he's not under a penalty of death, and therefore there will be a chiyuv knas. And who is the shita who holds by yochal latzilai be'echad me'evarov that it's also to kill him? Zok Gemara Rabbi Yonasan ben Sholi, and we actually had this exact same Rabbi Yonasan ben Shol. If you remember, we had it when we were discussing Yoav killing Avner. And he killed Avner because Avner killed his brother, right? And Avner says, I killed him because he was a writer. He was running after me. So Yoav said, what do you mean he was running after you? You didn't have to kill him. You could have injured him, right? And he says, I could not have injured him. I don't have such a precise shot to be able to just injure him. So Yoav says, you're lying because the way you killed him was with such precision. Of course you had a precise shot. And therefore, since it was Nita Allah Tilva Nafsha, you had no right to kill him. The Rabbi Yonasan Shol Omer, Roidev, Shaya Roidev, Acha Chaveroi. A was running after B, Lahargai, because A wanted to kill B. And B doesn't have to kill A to save himself. He only has to injure A to save himself. And instead of injuring him, he killed him, which is what Avner was accused of doing. Neragalov, he will get killed. It's called Ritzicha. My time with Rabbi Yonasan ben Shol. Where did Rabbi Yonasan ben Shol get this halacha from? Dichsiv. Let's have a look. One of the Mekayos to come with Rabbim is this possible. Ki yinotzi anoshim. 2 people are fighting. A is fighting with B. And A takes a swing at B and he's going to kill him. It's a swing that would for sure kill him. And what happened was there was a woman there in the way he was expecting, and he hit the woman instead. The Yatsu Yiladeh, and she lost her children. Zok the Basik, if it's v'lo yeh, if he's not under the threat of a chiyuv misa, then onish, then he will have to pay the value of the Dmei Vlodos to the husband of this woman. So there's a whole bunch of parties here. There's A trying to kill B. By mistake, he punches C, and she loses her two children, D and E. And because of that, he has to pay F, who is the father of these children, he had to pay them the value of the child. So let's analyze what's going on over here. We're talking about a mitzvah that would lead to a chiv misa. There was a potential over here for someone to be chayiv misa because someone was actually swinging at his friend to kill him. Now, if someone's swinging at his friend to kill him, I call that a roidev. If he's a roidev, his money is free. His dam is free. If his dam is free, then there is no chiv. Then there's no chiv to pay moment. But the pasuk says, if asain, he does pay moment. But even if he doesn't kill the intended victim, he was a roidif at the time. So how could he possibly be mechuyev moment to pay for the dmei vlodos? So it says the Masan, you have in Satan never shtachas tamish vafilu achim rachman. If it's a loye asain on nishianish, how could you explain that? Unless you can explain it, is that you know why he didn't have to be killed? Because you could have tasered him. If you learn if he could be tasered, you're not allowed to kill him. So in fact, while he's punching the guy, he's not under the threat of death. He's under the threat of getting tasered. So therefore, there's no death sentence on him. So therefore, he's chai for the dmei vlodos. That will explain the pasuk. And the case is if you're going to hold that even if you can taser him, you're still allowed to kill him. So how could you possibly explain why he would be mechuyev to pay the dmei vlodos? So therefore, because of this raya, Rabbi Yosy ben Shaul says that if somebody could have saved himself by injuring rather than killing, it's ritzicha mamish to kill somebody that way. Zog to Gemara, maybe you don't have a raya. You know why? Maybe in fact, even if you could have saved yourself, you're still allowed to kill him. So then the question is, why is there a chiyuv for him to pay the vlodos? The teretz is because the chiyuv to pay the vlodos is to a different person from the person where the chiyuv misa came from. The chiyuv misa comes from the fact that he wants to kill B, but the chiyuv of the vlodos comes from F. So Dilma shiny hacha the misa lazeh v'tashlumin lazeh. Maybe you don't say kamle b'derabimine when the chiyuv of misa and the chiyuv mammon is coming from two different places. Zoktamor, but that's absolutely not true. Loishna, it's not true, makes no difference. The Amar Rava says, Roidiv shahaya roidiv acha chaveru. So A is pursuing B because A wants to kill B. While A is running after B, A could be killed, right? Vishiber esa kalim, he broke kalim, bein shel nirdaf, ubein shel kaladam potter. No matter whose kalim he broke, he's potter. So the chiyuv misa is because of B, who he's running after. Yet he might have broken F's kalim. And you still see that I'll be potter. So you see that kam le b'derabi minei applies, even if the chiyuv mammon and the chiyuv misa are from two completely different directions. My timer, because mischai b'navshehu, since A is chayv b'navshay because he's being right of B, any damage that he does, any chiyuv mammon could not set upon him during that period of time. Okay, now let's look at another scenario. So we've already proved that the only reason why he could have been chayiv to pay for the dmei vlodos must be because it was nitin latzil b'nafshay, which proves Rabbi Yosy ben Shaul's argument that if you could possibly save yourself by injuring, by tasering, rather than killing, it's also to kill. That's why in our case, in the case of the Mishnah that says if someone is ba'al achoisai, he has to pay knas, it's because he could have been stopped by being injured, not by being killed. Therefore, he's chayiv to pay the knas. Now we have another interesting case in the Brisa. The nirdaf sheshiber as a kelim shal radiv. The nirdaf, B is being pursued by A. While B is running away from A, B breaks something of A. Potter, he's going to be potter. But shal kal adam, what if the nirdaf breaks anybody else's keli as he's running away from A? Chayiv. Why is he chayiv? Because there's nothing covered by Rav. He's not chayiv misa. So how is he allowed to break, or why is he potter from breaking the roidiv's kelim? We're going to see this.
What's the difference? Who's killing it?
It shouldn't make a difference. He should be chayiv either way. So why is he potter if he damages the right of kalim? Zok the Gemara shall right of potter. You know why? Nothing to do with kalim b'drabim. You're allowed to kill him. If you're allowed to kill him, you're allowed to tear his jacket while you're killing him. No problem, right? Because if you want to put a sword in him or put a knife in him, it might ruin the suit. If you're allowed to kill him, you're allowed to damage his suit. Okay. Now, but shall kol adam chayiv because shematzel atzmoi b'moment chaver. So let me ask you a question: is it mutter la'alocha to do that? So someone's running after you to kill him, and you can grab someone's chair or someone's suit and throw it at the guy to slow him down to run. Are you allowed to use somebody else's property to save yourself? Interesting question. The answer is obviously yes. Think about it. If he's mukhliv, says al dam reyecha. If he's allowed to, if he has to save you, pashas he has to. But we're going to get to the payback in a second because we learned this Gemara before, and now we have the law called the Good Samaritan law. What is the Good Samaritan law? So A is pursuing B and C is pursuing A. So A is trying to kill B. So C is trying to save B. So C is running after A. This sounds like it's a cartoon, right? So C is running after A, who's running after B, right? And C, while he's running after A, breaks Kalim. So v'roidev, shoyeroidev, acheroidev, latziloi, v'shiber esa Kalim. And he broke Kalim. Bein shel roidev, bein shel kalal potter. Please allow me to finish the sentence. So no matter whose Kalim he breaks, he's potter. Why? There's no kamei b'drabim. So it's only because of the Good Samaritan law. If you won't say that he's potter, when they ask him, he's trying to kill me, run after him. Really, I didn't notice that. Did you see anything? I didn't see nothing, right? So, but if he's not liable for any damage, then he might be more inclined to help. Okay, Peter, what were you saying?
There's no good Samaritan there at the course, and that's Sedukim. Samaritan there are
Really
no good Samaritans.
Right, in the Chanami.
I just want to mention that.
Yosy.
Yes.
Yosy.
Yes, sir.
Can A kill C?
No. No, you asked that last week.
Did
if
I?
I'm a roidif and you're trying to kill me, so am I a near-def lagabi you? Right, that was your question.
Right. So
I don't think because
so
all you have to do is
stop
stop
the
to kill A. All you got to do is stop trying to kill B, and C will bug off. So if anything, it's like nittel atil b'nafshay. You have a way to prevent C from killing you. Just stop trying to kill B, and you'll be fine. So according to Bridget and Joel, you for sure have I have a way of stopping C pursuing me. How? Just by stopping to pursue B.
But there's such a thing called goyal adam, right?
Right.
So if a goyal adam is chasing the guy who's, let's say, running Tari Miklat.
So that now you have a new question. If a goyal adam is chasing someone running Tari Miklat, does the nirdaf have a right to kill the goyal adam?
Right. And does the C able to kill the goyal adam if there's a C there?
Well, if the goyal adam is considered a roidif, then not only does the nirdaf can kill him, anyone can kill him.
Okay.
So
but if the goyal adam kills the shoygeg guy running Tari Miklat,
he's potter.
He's potter, right?
So I guess that means there's a death sentence on him. So Pasha, anything he breaks along the way, he won't have to pay for. Okay, so if you remember the Gemara, it was Baba Kama, but see, we had it several times. The Gemara said over a story about David who sent two messengers somewhere, and then the Navi talks about him sending them somewhere, and then they brought him back an answer. And the Gemara says he was actually sending two shluchim to the Sanhedrin to ask them a shaila. And there's a big discussion in the Gemara what the shaila was. What is it that he was asking them? But there's two pshatim that the Gemara offers. One is that the Pelishtim who were trying to attack him were hiding out in haystacks, but not haystacks that are made of legumes, whatever it was, barley. They were hiding in stacks that belonged to Eden. And David shaila was, he wanted to burn them all down to smoke them out. And his first question was, am I allowed to be mazik momen chaveroi? The one child was, if I'm a king, do I have eminent domain? Can I do it anyway? But then there's the shaila that I'm allowed to be mazik moment chaveroi to save myself, and there was another shot where he's for sure allowed to, and the shaila that he was asking is, if I do it, do I have to pay back? Right? Remember, those were the shailas that were asked. So here the Gemara is paskening halacha l'maisa that you're allowed to break something to save yourself, but you'll have to pay back. You'll have to pay back. It's a good deal, I think. Right? Zok the Gemara weiter. We said if someone is being roidev after a behema to be mizana with him, you're not allowed to kill the guy. I was just thinking this guy has a serious self-image problem because he can't find a person to be mizana with, and even the behemoths are running away from him. That's like a shidduch crisis. Like Nebuch, I feel the behemoth, right? Like there was once it's still I think you could still find it on YouTube. The American drones took pictures of the Hamas people that were getting busy with animals, and in the video, the animals also running away. In other words, who wants to be with Hamas? Hamas is worse than an animal. Anyway, now that we got out of the ego issues and confidence problems, we'll get on. Tanya's Dr. Gemara. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai Omer, we learned this again yesterday. If someone is about to do avodah zarah, you're also allowed to kill that person to prevent him from doing avodah zarah. How do we know it? Mikal v'chomer. The Gemara references kal v'chomer, but now we're actually learning it inside. If someone's about to be pogim anayra hamurasa, you're allowed to kill him to protect her from that gam. Pagab gavoya, when someone's sliding kavayochel, the Rabbanu Shalom, surely we can kill him to stop that from happening. We already learned you could never make a kal v'chomer to even give malchus. Kol shekin to kill somebody. Zokt Gemara, this Tanya, Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai hold on Shimon Adin. Yes, you could even give a noinish with a kal v'chomer. Tanya Rabbi Lezer Rabbi Shimon Omer. Rabbi Lezer Rabbi Shimon Omer, this is a family affair. Right? First we quoted Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, now we're talking about his son. Hamachal as a Shabbos. Even a Machal Shabbos, you can kill somebody to prevent him from being Machal Shabbos. And we had Toshus ask the Kasha, I don't understand. If you're killing him to prevent him from being Machal Shabbos, you're being Machal Shabbos. So are you supposed to be Machal Shabbos to save his Chil Shabbos? Who said my chazan the damach today? So McFay, maybe yours is worse. So Toshus said, if we have a limud, it's a Torah telling us to do so, even though logic might not dictate that we should do that. So Zok to Gemara, Sover lekavua. Rabbi Lezer b'Shimon holds like his father, Damar Einshim and Adin, and that's how we know that for avodah zarah nita latil b'nafshay, and he exports that information to Shabbos, but also Shabbos b'chilul chilul ma'avodas kecham. Now I have a problem over here because the limit is chilul from avodah zarah to Shabbos. So let's look at the psukim quoted at the side, unless there's a mistake. So when it talks about Shabbos, where do you see the word chilul by Shabbos? So he quotes a pasuk in Shemois. Shemois Lamed Aleph, where is that? Is that in Tzava? Shemois Lamed Aleph.
Isisa.
Isisa. Ushemartem es haShabbos ki kodesh yilachem mechalaleh moishuma. So mechalaleh, you see the lashon chilul in reference to Shabbos. Where do you see chilul in reference to avodah zarah? Now this is the Torah or Shalom, right? I don't know if other people argue on what this pasuk is, but look at the pasuk that he brings down. Mizaracha lo sitein lahaver lamoilech v'lo sechal Hashem lekach ani Hashem. If I remember correctly, we had a machlokes in the Gemara if moilech is avodah zarah, right? So if you hold moilech as avodah zarah, this is a very good raya. But if you hold moilech as not avodah zarah, I don't know. So this is not a kasha on the Gemara; it's a kasha on the Torah. Maybe Meyer could tell us another pasuk that's talking directly about avodah zarah that use the word chilul. Putting Meyer on the spot over here.
Yeah, you are. I gotta think about that.
Okay, you got to run it through the database. Rabbi Lois said over our story tonight, Bashal Shudis, that now they have computers, so they unlock so many of the codes of the Torah. But Rabbi Mechel Ber Vasmandel, Zatzal, didn't have the benefit of computers. And they used to also come up with these brainy, zany things. So one Purim, somebody asked him, Esther min Torah minayim. So he said, if you find the first aleph in the Torah, and then you count 1,500 and so many letters, you're going to run into the letter Samach. And then if you count that same amount of letters again, you're going to find a Tov, and then again you'll find a Reish. So the guy was blown away. And he said, how about Mordechai? So for that, you're going to have to wait till next year. So Maya, we'll leave you. We'll give you till next year. Okay. Suck the Gemara weiter. Oh, gewaltig, gewaltig. See, David, Shlomi Goyach just spoke you out. How once Mashiach comes, the only Yom Tov that we're going to have is going to be Purim. Okay, gewaltig. The question is, okay, it might be the only Yom Tov, but is it only going to be once a year? Maybe we'll have Purim like once a month. That's right, I got you, Peter. Okay, Zog the Gemara weiter. So Amachalos Shabbos Tidul Tibunavshe Shavuot Lakavud Amar Anshu Nadin V'Asa Shabbos Bechil Chil Me'Avoyis Chacham Amar B'Yechanam Mishum Rabbi Shimon Ben Yochad Nimu V'Gomru. They did a consensus amongst the Bezdin where V'Aliyah is based Nitza in the attic of the home of Mr. Nitza. What city did he live in? Belut. And this is what they came to the conclusion. Kol Avera Shebetayra. Any Avera in the Torah Im Aimrim La'Adam Avor V'Al Tehareg. If the authority who's able to kill you says, be over this Avera, and then I won't kill you. Allah is Yavor Ba'al Yehareg. You're better off doing the Avera and don't get killed. Because it says, V'chai B'hem, as the Gemara is going to quote in just a moment, Chutz me'avoidis kachavim, v'gilu arayis u'shvichas tam. Except for the three Averas HaChamurais, every other Avera, the right thing to do, if you're given a choice between life and death, if you don't do this Avera, you should do the Avera and live, except for these three. By avoidus kachavim, you're supposed to let yourself get killed. V'atanya Amar Rabbi Yishmael, minayin shim Amar loyla adam. Avoid avoidus kachavim. V'al tehareg minayin sheyavoid v'al yehareg. How do you know you're supposed to do the avoidus zara? Tamaloymer v'chai bohem v'loy sheyamus behem. You're supposed to live, not die. So therefore, you should do the avodah zarah. You might think that even if you're asked to do avodah zarah b'far hesya, and the Gemara on Amud Beis will discuss what is far hesya. Talmud loymer v'loy sechalalu Hashem kachi v'nikdashti. There's a separate mitzvah of kiddush Shem Shemayim. If it's barabim, there's a mitzvah to give up your life because of kiddush Shem Shemayim. Now, this v'loy sechalu isn't speaking directly to a specific avera. So it's mashma any avera that you're asked to violate, barabim, where it will be a chil Hashem, and it'll be a kiddush Hashem. If you don't do it, you're mechuyev to give your life up. So the problem is, we know that Rabbi Elazar bar Shimon and Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai held that for avodah zarah, you give your life up. It's mashma from here that you don't. Zaktimor in Yud Amar, Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai and Rabbi Elazar bar Shimon hold Rabbi Elazar. The Tanya Rabbi Elazar Omer, it says v'ahavtos Hashem Elokecha b'chol levavecha b'chol nafshecha b'chol ma'adecha. Oh, the Leblina strikes again, because we said Krishma today, Gavaltik, right? Im Neymar b'chol nafshecha lama nemer b'chol ma'adecha. If it says b'chol nafshecha, you have to give up your life, so that includes all your money. Im Neymar b'chol ma'adecha lama nemer b'chol nafshecha. Elmai, it depends on what type of personality you have. Im yesh lach adam shegufay chaviv alav mimaynoi. The Torah is saying l'kach nemer b'chol nafshecha. No matter what you are and who you are, you have to give up your life for everybody. Now, we just learned the halacha that a standard mitzvah, when there's not a situation of the farhashya and there's not an issue of a standard mitzvah, if they tell you, if you don't do this aver, we're going to kill you, you should do the aver. Are you allowed to say, I don't want to do the aver, I'd rather get killed? So the Rambam says, if you give your life up for a mitzvah other than the shalosh averes hachamuros, harezem mischayev b'nafshay. Now you're dead already, so I'm not sure how you're mischayev b'nafshay, but I guess the Rebbeinu Shalom can figure that out, right? So the Rambam holds it's usher and it's not some usher. It's your mischayev b'nafshay. But there are other poskim that argue on the Rambam and say that if you want to give your life up, you are allowed to. Now the Rishonim ask from different cases where people did give their life up. So the Gemara says that there's different reasons why in those cases that they would have. Okay, Zok to Gemara weiter. Gilu arayis u'shvichas dam. We already determined how we know that for avodah zarah one must give his life up. How do we know that for gilu arayis and for shvichas damim one must give their life up? Zok to Gemara k'der Rebbe, we know it from Rebbe. The Tanya Rebbe Omer. It says in the parasha of Nair Hamurasa, if she was violated, she didn't do this willingly. So it says, "V'lanara ein chet maves." Why? because kasher yokum ish al re'eyu ritzochei nefesh. It's as if someone was murdered. Definitely wasn't their choice. Kain hadover hazeh. Frank the Gemara. We just learned this a blot ago, but now we get a good chazara. V'chimala madu meretzeach. What are we learning from Retzeach? Me'ata harezeh ba'alalamid. Retzeach came to visit Nair Murasa to teach us something. But when it was there teaching, it also picked up some information to take home. V'nim tzalomei. So Makish Retzeach l'Nair HaMurasa. We make a hekesh from Retzeach to Nair Murasa, and we learn something from Nair HaMurasa to Retzeach, which we discussed, I think, yesterday or the day before. Ma Nair HaMurasa nita latil b'nafshay. Just like by Nair Murasa, you can kill the perpetrator to prevent him from violating her. So how do we know that a Ritzayach you could kill a Raidef? You know it because of the Hekesh to Nair HaMurasa. And what does Nair HaMurasa learn from Ritzayach? Umakish Nair HaMurasa l'Ritzayach. Ma Ritzayach yehareg v'al yavar, af Nair HaMurasa tehareg v'al tavor. We learned the locha of yehareg v'al yavar. Okay? If you learn from Ritzach that you harg vayavar, how do you know by Ritzach is you harg vayavar? Zok Gemara svara who it's a svara. Dahud also look the Rabba. Somebody once came to Rabba to ask him a shaila. Rabba, I'm between a rock and a hard place. The Omerla, he told Rabba, Omeli Mori Duroi, the head of the city who has the koyach to be able to kill me. He said, Zil kater leplanya, go kill so and so. And if you don't kill so and so, I'm going to kill you. Amar lei, so you know what Rabbi told me to do? Amar lei, lekatlucha, let them kill you. V'loi sikta. You know why? Because mi yemar the dama didach sumuktfei, who said you have redder blood. Dilma dama dahu gavra sumuktfei. But the obvious question is, it says v'chai bohem. So if it says v'chai bohem, why do you have to get killed? Right? So Rashi explains very beautifully. It says v'chai, meaning if you have to give up your life, if a Jewish life has to be lost to do an Aveira, better do the Aveira. Right? V'chai. But in this case, regardless, there's a Jewish life that's going to be lost. If you kill him, then two things happen. Sai, a Jewish life was lost, and Sai, you were on the other side, if you get killed, a Jewish life got lost. But no one was over in Averis. Elamai, your blood's better than his blood. For that, this tiny is mi yemer the dama didach sumuktvei, dilma dama dahugaver sumuktvei. So since you're no better than him, and if you kill him, there'll be a violation as well. Therefore, you have to let yourself get killed.
Now, see, if there's two guys in the midbar and there's only water for one, so how do you know why is his better than yours? You're better than his. Why do you say over there you should get the water, not the other guy? Why is your blood better than his?
Because you're not killing anybody. The whole problem is you're not allowed to violate an Isser, right? So better, if one of us is going to die, better one of us should die, and we shouldn't violate an Isser. When you're drinking the water and not giving it to the other, you're not violating an Isser. So the only time we say my chazadam dachsumuk tvei is if one side's going to have an Isser and one side's not. But by the water case, there's no Isser. So then you come first.
So in that case, your blood is redder than his in that case.
No, it's not. It's not. It's the same. But why shouldn't you drink it? You're not killing him. You're not being. There's no Isser involved. There's no Isser involved in drinking the water.
You're killing him. It's grandma. You're killing him. Okay.
I don't think that's a grump. I don't think you're causing him to get killed at all. But you're more than welcome to give up the water.
Okay.
But you can argue if he's also trying to drink the water,
if you don't have water, then don't live in California and you'll have water. Or just go to a fire hydrant if it's not dry and drink the water. But I hear what you're saying. Okay, Zok Gemara, that's all I'll ingest. Zok Gemara Vaitek. Also, Rav Dimi, Omer Rabbi Yochanan. Loi Shanu, that we say that you should not give up your life for a regular Aveira is Ela Shaloi B'Shas Gzeres U'Malchus. That's only if the Malchus isn't trying to undermine Yiddishkeit in making you do Averis. If we're in a period of time where they're trying to uproot Yiddishkeit by forcing and coercing Yidden to do Averis, then Afilu Mitzvah Kala Yeharg Valyav. Even a small little mitzvah, Yahar Yavar, as Rashi says, at the bottom all the way, Shalo Yargilu Ha'ovdei Kechavim Lehamrich Es Halavovis Lakach. So that the goyim shouldn't be in the habit of trying to convince, massage our hearts into doing affairs. Okay, that's gewaltig. However, ki also Ravin, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, afilu shaloi b'shas gzeres hamalchus, even shaloi b'shas gzeres hamalchus, that we say you should not give your life up, that's only if it's one-on-one. If there's a question of kiddush shem shemayim, afilu mitzvah kala yehar gal yavar, like we learned earlier, it says v'loi sechala shem kachi v'nikdashti b'soich b'nei Yisrael. My mitzvah kala. What is a mitzvah kala? Amar Rava bar Rav Yitzchak Amar Rav afilu even l'shenuyei arkas of the mesano, even if it's merely changing your shoelaces. And there's actually two opinions. Rashi seems to say that it's not a specific beged, but if a yid ties his shoes in a specific way, and goyim tie their shoes in a different way, you're not even allowed to modify how you tie your shoes. But there's one condition. If it's just based on style, it doesn't matter. Of course you could do it. If there's some Yiddish reason why. So let's look at Rashi. Arka said the Masana, Sroi Chanal, the shoelace. Shim derech ha'oivdik ha'chavim, likshar kach. Goyim tie their shoe in this fashion. V'derech l'shol b'yin and Jews tie their shoes in a different fashion. And Rashi says a very important condition. It's not merely style. There's some reason in Judaism why we should tie our shoes in this specific way. The way they tie it is more tzniistic. Something so subtle. Just a minik. Yikadesh es Hashem b'fnei chaver of Yisrael. V'hai farhesya medaber b'Yisrael. But Rashi tells us, he gives us a clue about what the Gemara is going to talk about. It doesn't matter how many goyim are around. It all matters how many Yidden are around. Tosfos actually says the Jews, even when they wore black shoes, they wore white shoelaces. And the goyim wore black shoelaces. So even if they made you change from white to black, that was also something that you'd have to give up your life for if it was a shas hashman. Amar Rabbi Yaakov, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, ein farhesya pchusa me'asar b'nei. How many people have to be standing there that you would be mechuyev to give your life up, even for a simple little mitzvah? There has to be 10 people. Do they have to be Jewish? Pshita Yisraelim be'inon. Of course, it's pasuk that there have to be Yisraelim. The Chassid says in the pasuk, "V'nikdashti b'soich b'nei Yisrael." It's amongst Jews, not amongst goyim. So, by Rabbi Yirmiyah, how about Tisha Yisrael v'nachriach? What if there was one goy in the bunch? Would you still be mechuyev to give your life up? Now, Tashma, we have a raya. The Tani Rabbi Yani, Achua, the Rabbi Chia bar Abba, Asya Toich Toich. Let's learn Xer Shabbat from Toich Toich. It says v'nikdashti, ksivach v'nikdashti b'soich b'nei Yisrael. How much is soich? Uksiv hasam, he bodlu mitoicha eda azois. Malalon, just like over there, it's 10. V'chulu Yisrael, and they're all Jews. Afkan asar v'chulu Yisrael. So, Meyer, what's the kasha? Hibadlu is not speaking about the Meraglim, where there were 10. Hibadlu, where's that pasuk talking about?
The Koirach.
Koirach. There was 10, what 10 people by Koirach? So the article brings down is that the way we know that by Koirach there were 10 Yidden is from a Gzera Shava. I didn't go through the whole thing, but if you have an art scroll, he brings down this Gzera Shava to tell us that by Adas Koirach there are 10 people, and then once we know that, then you have the Gzera of Toich Toich. I'm sorry? Yeah, but by Koirach it was more than 10. By Koirach, the Holy Kodesh was there. Where do you get number 10 from? So there's some limud there that there's 10 people there. I don't know the exact details. I didn't look at it, but I know the art scroll brings it down. You see over there? The art scroll does bring it down. So I'm not sure exactly what the exact cheshbon is, but there's a cheshbon that even though they're talking about Adas Koirach, it means 10.
He brings down here, 10 have to be there, or they know about it. He says there's machlokes here. Even if they just know about it, doesn't have, they have to physically be there.
Are you reading that from the art scroll?
Yes, I am.
So I mean, even though they're not there, 10 people, which is
They know about
it, is lavdav because they're physically there, if they're just aware of it.
Yes.
Like on Zoom. Zakta Gemara, Malalan Asara b'chuli Yisrael, and they're all Jews. Afkan Asara b'chuli Yisrael. Frag the Gemara again. The Lublina strikes again. For Esther for Hesyava. Esther, everyone knew about it. So that's a beautiful right. This mamash right to Peter. Not everybody was there in the bedroom when Esther was violated by Achashverosh, but everyone knew about it. So that's the riot to what Peter's saying is right. Amar Abaye, don't worry about it. Esther karka oila maisa. Esther didn't do anything. She was just standing there. As Rashi says, Eina Isa Maisa. She didn't do anything. Who Isa Ba Maisa? He did a Maisa in her.
Awesome.
Now, Tosfos asks a Bambadika Kasha. Tosfos asks, why is the Gemara asking that Esther should have been Moshe Nefesh because there were 10 people? How about the fact that you have to be Moshe Nefesh for Gila Arayis? She was an Eshezish. So as Gila Arayis, she has to be Moshe Nefesh. So why is the Gemara asking? Why is the Gemara asking about the Ferhesha? Never mind Ferhesha, that very in and of itself would have mandated that she should give her life up. She was well, according to the Shita that she was married to Mordechai, she was an Eshezish. He did not give her a get.
First of all, I'm sure that
why didn't Mordechai give her a get? They would have solved all the problems.
he probably did.
No, he didn't.
He didn't want to give a gift.
There would have been a coil. We learned
We're going to
it. There would
discuss
have
it.
been a coil.
Tosfos on the base here asked the kasha, why didn't Mordechai just give her a get? It would have made everything so much simpler. But we're going to get there in a minute. First, I want to talk about the first part of Tosfos. So, because of this kasha, Zakter Bein Tam, the bia of a goy does not aser a woman because it's like the bia of a behema, and therefore there is no chiv yarg v'yav. There's no chiv yarg v'yav by the bia of a goy.
So why kasher avadati?
Kasher avadati. Why did she say that? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Maybe it's not a kishmaka situation, but one of the kashas that's asked under Rabbeinu Tam is precisely that. What about kasher avadati? Obviously, it was a problem. So he brings the Rivam who is challenging the Rabbeinu Tam, I believe, asked that kasha. Let me see if I can find it. But I believe he does ask the kasha. Yeah. Right? Well, no, he asked Loma Girsha, but I think he does bring the riot from kasher vati. But it's a good question. But I'll call upon him. Rabbeinu Tam says that the bia of a goy would not aser a woman to her husband because it's not a bia. Because the Gemara quotes from a pasuk, the zirmas susim zirmasam, it's like an animal, and an animal will not aser a woman to her husband. So Rabbeinu Tam built a massive chiddush. What happens, Rachmana litzlan, if a married woman goes off to derech and she gets involved with a goy, and she's being nibbled to a goy, she's lost some Klal Yisrael, and one day they decide that they want to come back. So she wants to be Megayer, she wants to come back Yiddishkeit, and she wants her husband to be Megayer with her, and they want to live together. So the question is, do you say Asur L'boil, Asur L'baal? So she would remain Asur to this guy.
He was a goy when.
That's right. So Zokter Rabbeinu Tam, based on my chiddush, that his beer doesn't even count, we will allow him to be a ger, and we will allow them to continue living together. And of course, she'll probably need a get from her husband, assuming that she'll be able to get a get.
If it doesn't count, why do we have the teretz of karka olam? What do we need that for?
The karka olam, the Gemara says, is to deal with the problem of why she didn't give up her life because it was her health.
Yeah.
But I'm happy you brought up karka olam because the Rivam says the reason why it's not a problem of a rise is also because of karka olam. But a woman who did the story of the Rabbeinu Tam, who ran away with a goy, she in fact would remain usher to her husband. So that was the discussion. I mean, in those days things were probably bitter vigal. Never such a story should happen. But at least she'll come back to Yiddishkeit, and her husband will probably be very fanatic anyway. He'll probably dump her for wanting to be mishadak for the goy. You know what I'm saying? He might it might backfire on him, right? He says, you were living with a guy when you were married, and you expect me to want to marry you? Out of here. But Sean, first he got to stick it into Yiddishkeit. Anyway.
So Yosy, what's the case of Yarg Bal Yavor by Gilu Arayis, right? It only could be something like, if you come with me, I'll kill this guy.
Only with a Yid.
Only with the
Only with a
Yid.
But you're asking a very good question. Because if you hold it's karka olam, so if it's karka olam, why would there be a Yarg Bal Yavor?
Yeah.
Let's have a look. And he asked the Gavaltik Kasha. He asks, this is over here. V'hadika Amar af nair hamarosa tehareg val tavor. If she's karka oilam, why does a nair hamarosa have to give up her life not to be mizana? It's karka oilam, right? Zok to Gemara yaroig ersinam. So zok tois zok to Rivam it's yaroig. She doesn't have to give up her life. It means if he's being forced, he has to give up his life. V'aboil koi the ovid ma'isa. He's doing a ma'isa. Aval a nair atma she karka oilam ein chayeves limser atma.
Yosy. Yosy.
Yeah.
Okay. I saw a writer from Moshe Rabbeinu that you don't have to give up your life because it says Moshe, they told him to come back, that the person the people want to kill you are not around anymore. But if they'd be around, he wouldn't have to come back and save Bnei Yisrael. So I stories that he wouldn't have to come back, that you don't have to kill yourself to save other people. So right from Moshe Rabbeinu.
Okay, Gavaldik.
Yeah.
Very nice. The Igaris Tarag, and if you want a Garis that she does have to give her life up, Yesh Lefarish that they harga naira koidim shetasa ma'isha shetovi aleos erv. If she's going to be actively seducing him, that's where there's a Yahar Galayavar. If they hold a gun to her head and tell her, seduce this guy or else, there she has to give her life up. It wouldn't work for the Farhesya. So he goes on, and then he goes to ask this final kasha. Esther avadati, which also explains why she would be Nasr, because she sort of seduced Achashverosh. She came to him. If she comes to him, she's no longer Karka Oilam. So therefore, there'll be an Isser. Lama loy girsha Mordechai tchila. Why didn't Mordechai first give her a get? Then, after this whole ordeal, she would have been mutter to go back to Mordechai, because Tosfos proves that even though Machzor Grishasoi is usher if she was with somebody else, that's only if she was married to somebody else. But if she had nus with even a Jew, she's still mutter to her husband. It's only if she was married to somebody else. So why didn't he do that? So this teretz is a little bit difficult to understand. Had he given her a get, it would have created a buzz. There's Adim, it creates a buzz. People talk about it, right? All the yentas are talking about, you heard who got divorced? More, will you believe it? Mordechai has to got divorced. Everyone would be talking about it. So she would say, I got divorced from Mordechai, I'm mortified, right? But I'll call upon him.
I get it. Okay, don't tell me there wasn't already a buzz. People must have known that.
Yeah, but this makes it even better.
What?
So,
there was already a buzz.
Yeah.
Maybe that was a rumor. Now it's going to be big news.
What do you mean a rumor? Everybody knew it was a public thing that Esther was married to Achashverosh.
Achashverosh knew that?
I think so. If he was married to her.
No. Did he know that she was married to Mordechai?
Right. So let me theorize. So it says that Mordechai instructed Ein Esther Magedes Moedadetah, because she was instructed not to reveal her identity by Mordechai. So the Mefarshim talk about it. The Ben Yehoyada says the reason why Mordechai didn't want Esther's to be known is because then if Haman would find out that she's Jewish, Haman would try to kill her before the king married her to prevent her from being in a position of power, right? They would have tried to trump him, right? They would have tried to kill her.
Bad joke.
Other Mefarshim say that Mordechai was determined not to get any covet, not to be raised up. If it would be identified, even if they're not married, even that she's related to Mordechai, automatically he's going to raise his profile, and he wanted to maintain a very low profile.
Also,
before he married her. Once he was married to her, now late in the game where she was going to seduce her husband, at that point, why didn't he give her a get? What's the big deal if Achashverosh would have found out? But I guess you have to learn that if Achashverosh would have found out that she was married all this time, could be it wouldn't have worked for her to plead her case that well, right? He would tell her, what else are you not telling me, right? They were all supposed to be psulos. So, it could be it would have caused the shalom bayis problems between her and Achashverosh, so they just felt it would be best if no one talked about it.
What if I had a chance to give her again because it was by the king the whole time?
Well, she talked to him, right? They communicated, right? She saw that he was in his sackclothing. If she wasn't by the king the whole time, forget, she wasn't even allowed to be by the king. The king was isolated in his room. She risked her life just to go in to introduce herself to the king. So it seems like she had a lot of autonomy. Okay, so that is, but it's an interesting thesis because it brings up some interesting questions. Okay, let's see the Gemara weiter. Boy, Rabbi Yirmiyah. Rabbi Yirmiyah had a shayla. No, we did that already. So Esther, we did. Esther Kakal. Rava Omar. Rava has a different shot. You know why it was allowed for her to live with Achashverosh, even though it's for Hesha? Because it's not a Chil Hashem. You know why? Because why did Achashverosh live with her? Not because he wanted to undermine Yiddishkeit, because he had a taiva. He wanted to be with her. Whenever the guy is asking you to be over an Avera for his taiva, even though it's for Hesha, that's not a problem of Kiddush Hashem. It's only a problem if they're trying to undermine Yiddishkeit. Hanos Atzman Shiny, and I'll prove to you that that's the case. The Eloite Mahachi, Hani Kvaki Videmoniki. What are Kvaki and Demoniki? They used to have days in the Goyish calendar where everyone would get together in the big hall, and they would need light and heat in the hall. So they would go around to the city and have everybody lend to the cause their lamps. So are you allowed to do that? Are you allowed to lend the lamps? So Zok to Gemara, it's allowed to be done. I hechi bin lu ella anos atzman shiny. It was a stick. It was for the avodah zarah. It was this get together that they got together was in honor of an avodah zarah. So how are they allowed to let their lamps go? The teretz is because they weren't doing it to force Eden to do avodah zarah. They just wanted to have light and heat in this get together. So therefore, the Eden were not prohibited from doing that, and there's no mitzvah to be Moshe Nevesh for that. So Achanami Anos Atzman, shiny. But Rava actually has another halacha that also exhibits this same principle. The Amar Rava, Akum Amar Le Lahai Yisrael. A guy goes over to eat and says, Ketoil aspasta b'Shabbata. I want you to harvest aspasta on Shabbos, meaning you're going to be mechal Shabbos with kaitzer, which is a chi of daraisa. What should you do with this? Hey, v'shadi l'chiyusai. I want you to feed my animals. That's anos atzmai. V'yiloid, if you don't do it, katil nolach, I am going to kill you. So the halach is liktoil, cut aspasta, be mechal Shabbos, v'loy liktali, and don't let him kill you. However, what if he said kat aspasta and shadi l'nahara, just throw it in the river? So clearly he's just trying to make you be mechal Shabbos. There liktali, there you have to let yourself be killed. V'loy liktali. My timer, lavure milsa kavoy. Clearly, they're just trying to undermine Yiddishkeit. Boy minei merab ami. How about a ben noach? Is a ben noach mitzvah al kedusha Hashem? He's asked to violate one of the seven mitzvahs ben noach. The Hesher, would he have to give up his life? Or ein mitzvah al kedusha Hashem? Al kedusha Hashem. Amar Abai Toshma. It says sheva mitzvahs nitztavu ben noach. V'miso that there's a mitzvah of kiddush Shem Shemayim. Tam Nahavion, it's actually 8. Omarava, I don't even understand the kasha because
we had a machlokes about it.
No, but we also learned that the okay, that's what fit. The only things listed in Sheva mitzvahs are things where you're not allowed to do something, not kum vasei. So here's a kiddush shemayim, is a kum vasei, but it's not really a kum vasei because you're being mekaybet by not doing the iser. So Zok to Gemara, Amalei Rava, it's inu v'chalav Israyu. Kiddush Shem Shemayim doesn't have to be its own category. It could be one of the accessories to every mitzvah. Every mitzvah that everything that they must refrain from, every issue that's given to them, part of the issue is that even if they're going to be threatened with their life, they have to stick to it. That wouldn't qualify as a separate category. It's a variant of each individual mitzvah. As Rashi says, Avizrayu, anything that would come up in relation to this mitzvah. Kiddush Hashem shayachbu. Kiddush Hashem passes. The amaloi laver al oisan mitzvahs o yeharag v'mlo yikadosh Hashem yaver alayim. If he's not going to be Mekadosh Hashem, he'll be over on the veira. Hilchach chaynami b'chlonu. That's considered as part of each individual mitzvah b'ninaya. So my Havala, what was the resolution? What happened at the end? Amar Vadabar Amri Beirav Ksiv. This is a very interesting story. Elisha was in the middle of making Naaman into a Baal Tshuva. Naaman wanted to come and become a Baal Tshuva and become a Ger Toshev. He started doing mitzvahs. But Naaman asked him for an indulgence. I think that the Catholic Church used to sell indulgences, right? I think they would sell like you could pay up in front and buy the schus to do an avera. So he told Elisha, I need one indulgence. The davar hazeh yislach Hashem la'avtecha. I need in advance the ability to be able to do the next avera that I'm about to describe. When my boss goes to bow down by the avodah zarah, I'm expected to be there with him and to hold his arm. But when Nishin al Yodai, he leans on me, and when he bows, I have to automatically bow with him. So I need you to tell me that I could do that. Or maybe he's mechuyev to give up his life to do the mitzvah, because I guess if he wouldn't do it, the melech would kill him. So how did Elisha respond to this request? Elisha said back to him, he told him, go in peace. He didn't protest. So Zok to Gemara, if this is the case, he shouldn't, okay, he doesn't have to give a musar. There's no mitzvah because he's not amisecha, he's a guy. But to make it sound like it's no problem, he shouldn't have said lech l'shalom. He should have said, no, I got a problem with that. Elamai, you have a raya that he doesn't have to be Mekadosh Shemayim. Zoktamar, you don't have a raya. Habetzina, habeferesha. The only time where there's an union of the Mekadosh Shemayim is only if it's in public. This was a private audience that him and his boss had with the Getchke, and therefore, anyway, it wouldn't qualify for Kiddush Shemayim.
Well,
Okay,
also, was Lahanasai also.
Sorry?
It was Lahanasai. He needed the guy to lean on. He wasn't angry that he should be over.
Here, it's a good point. It was Lahanasai in Echanami. It's a good aura. Should we finish the parak? We could make a run towards the parak of the other months. It's easy Gemara, so okay, we'll do it. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav. Ma'aseh b'adam echad. It's a very fascinating Gemara. There's a story with a man. I suggest if anybody has their speaker on and their wives are in the background, maybe you lower the volume. Amar Rav Yehuda, I warned you. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav. Ma'aseh b'adam echad shenasan einav v'isha achas. He chapped a joke that he needed this woman. V'hela libaitina. So the Ram gefallen a krenken hearts.
Was she married, this woman? Was she married?
The Gemara is going to get into that. A good point. Ubo v'sholol arayfim. They even went to ask the doctors, how do you deal with this guy? V'amru ein loy takana achadi boiloi. There's no way he's going to drop dead unless he's going to be boiled this woman. Amru chachamim. You know what? Yomus val tivaloi. Let him drop dead, but we're not letting him be boiled. Tamoid lefanav aruma. You know what? I don't have to be boiled. Just let me see her and not rest. Yomus val tamid lefanav. Let him drop dead. Val tamid lefanav aruma. Tisaper ima. It's funny. Nobody ever asked her what she wants to do, but well, that'll come out in a minute. Tisaper ima me'achar geder. Let him just talk to her and from behind the mechitza. Yomus. Let him drop dead. V'loy tisaper ima me'achar geder. So Peligabar Rabbi Yaakov Ve'idi Rabbi Shmuel Bar Nachmani. So to answer Peter's question, one of them said she was an Eshish, which would explain why we wouldn't allow this to happen. She was a Pnuya. So Frank Gemara, Shopper, we understand why we wanted to drop dead. My Kula, why are you being such a towel man? If it was a schlecht, hey, he'll talk to her behind the Mechitza. I mean, Groise Gedila, why make such a big deal? Rav Papa Amar Mishum Pegamish Bacha, because it's poigamer. Even if she would have wanted to do it, it's poigam the mishpacha that one of their daughters should have had this encounter. Here's the shocker. Rav Acha B'Rei Ravika Amar, it's Kedei Shelo Yehu B'Nois Yisrael Prutos Barais. It's not a good idea to allow these things to happen. Lamoid B'Fnei Anoshim Losses B'Meineim V'Yum Shem Lamabiyah. It's not a good situation to have this mingling. You have to keep people separate, and therefore your Hargval Yava, we're not letting him do it. Frank Gemara, I don't have no problem. She's a Pnuya. Valinseva. Let him marry her. Like, what about her? Nobody asked her. Maybe she doesn't want to marry him. Did it ever dawn upon you that maybe she's not interested? Valinseva. Let him marry her. Maybe he was the guy who's running after the behemoth. He had a serious self-image problem. So Valinseva, Zaktamar, here's the blower. This blows your mind. Valinseva, Zaktamar, loy miyas v'daite. He's not gonna. That won't do it. If he marries her, that won't fix it. Right. He wants to be boiler without marrying. That
wasn't the point.
That's right. I cannot personally verify this on Shulix. I can't personally verify, We'll have to say Soida Hashem Lireyav. That's how the Amora knew. That's how the Gemara knew. Shenemar Mayim Genuvim Yimtaku. The forbidden fruit is always more sweet. The lechem sesorim, Rashi says, is referring to kiyam alechem asher oichel, referring to a wife. The lechem sesorim, you know what's sweet? When you have to sneak away to do a virus, and you can't just do it off and grub. That is the thing. So Mamela, he needs it for Isser, and he doesn't have it. Baruch Hashem, we were zoichet to finish. Meaning we're done with Bensari Moira. Baruch Hashem. The only connection we should ever have with the Bensari Moira is this parak. But all of our children and Einich and Ehrlich should be healthy and strong and ehrlich and frum and bring us a lot of Yiddish and Nachas.
Amen.
Yosy.
Yes, sir.
Is there a concept of Jewish martyrdom where you die for something that you believe in?
I'm not sure that I understand what you're asking. Is there a concept in Judaism that what?
Jewish, like a Jewish martyr, you die for a cause that you believe in.
Well,
Like,
you're not allowed to die for a cause that you believe in. You're only allowed to die for those specific things that the Torah says you have to die for, like about and for Hesha. You're not. I mean, there's if it's something that you believe in, the Rambam holds it's a very big avera to give up your life for it, unless it's one of those that the Torah says you should.
yeah, that's what I meant. Like if they say, bow to this idol, and you say no, I'm not going to bow down to it, and they kill you, is that considered martyrdom?
I'm not sure. That's a good question. I do not know. So tomorrow we're going to learn at 7 and at 9.
What do you mean at 9?
We learn twice. We learn at 7 a.m. Tomorrow's daf by night. Tomorrow night, I think Daniel's going to be back.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. If he's not back, then I'll come. But I think he's coming back.
Back, why don't we get from here?
You could learn Ein Vov.
Aren't we on?
Yeah, but it's good for you to be a little ahead because you don't learn Friday. So this way you'll stay ahead of the game for a couple of days.
Good. Good luck in Heidish.
Lachig in Chayde.
Yeah.